Hello Internet, this is Sylvain Rochon, the Peaceful Revolutionary, here once again to talk about dream to reality. The subject today, I'll be talking specifically about the technological singularity and the future. So this is an interesting topic for me. I really love talking about this because it lets you dream a little bit about the future and sometimes a little bit become scared of the future. Now, if you don't know what singularity is, as far as technological singularity, according to Ray Kurzweil and Peter Diamandis of the Singularity University in the States, singularity is very simply the artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. So it's a point where computers become smarter than humans, really, and more creative and everything. It's not about computing power specifically, although it's very, very related. But it's very this equation. And past that, what happens, or what's speculated, is that computers can do our job way better than us in any way. So it sort of creates this paradigm shift in society, where we're actually intelligence-wise, we're actually the underdogs. We are the creators of the computers, but we actually are less powerful, less creative, and they can just do things better. They can even construct each other better and improve on each other better as computers in a certain direction. What is interesting is that this concept did not come from these guys. They came actually from a science fiction writer called Vernor Vinge, many years before, who described it as a point in time where we will have the technological means to create superhuman intelligence. Superhuman, right? Shortly after, the human era will be ended. That's a little bit pessimistic, isn't it? But then he continues, I think it's fair to call this event a singularity. It is a point where our models must be discarded and a new reality rules. As we move closer and closer to this point, it will loom vaster and vaster over human affairs till the notion becomes a commonplace. Yet when it finally happens, it may still be a great surprise and a greater unknown. Very interesting. You know, what happens when artificial intelligence becomes more intelligent than us? What really happens? Are we seeing a scenario like Terminator or I, Robot, for those of you who know those movies, where the computers are smarter than us and they're asked to think for us, really, and they just look at humanity, they say, this is bad, they're destroying each other, I need to terminate them or control them, or all that stuff. We need to be the masters to the slaves, that sort of thing. These are science fiction scenarios. And realistically, upon singularity, these scenarios could actually occur. I mean, if you think about it, if you have smarter, more powerful, more intelligent machines, yeah, they could probably turn on us for one reason or another. I guess it is a possibility. However, I don't think this is going to happen, simply because computers would only be malignant if we built them to be in such a way. Fundamentally, human beings aren't aggressive. They aren't violent. We're only violent and aggressive if we are put in positions of fear, if we are afraid, if we are uncomfortable, like we don't have food, we don't have lodging, we don't have a future, we don't see a future for ourselves, or we're sick. Approaching singularity, actually, and I'll explain this in a few minutes, means that we actually can resolve all these issues for all people. And so violence would not be in our nature. We would be quite happy individuals, and so violence will go away from humanity altogether, even between religions or religious groups, just because of information flow and understanding between the different people. In the old times, for example, in North America, since I'm in Canada here, when the Europeans arrived here, they saw the Native Americans. There was essentially there was fear from the Europeans in a sense, because they didn't understand the natives and they were savage in their eyes. But the Europeans had lots of guns and they had military power, even though they didn't have numbers. Um, so so what happened is that because they didn't have a good understanding of the Native Americans and how they worked, how they thought, especially after they figured out that they were not actual Indians from India, um, and they would react in strange ways towards the American Indians. And because they didn't understand them, and their leaders called them barbarians and primitives and all that stuff, no higher than animals, the Europeans felt it was their right to actually colonize them and educate them and to teach them religion and take their lands and do everything, because they figure, well, if they're like animals, then we don't need to respect them. And that was the thinking at the time. And if they come at us, well, we're just going to shoot them because we have military superiority as well. That's because of a lack of understanding. And from the Native American side, they were quite peaceful people for the most part until the Europeans arrived. And they just started being aggressive and the Europeans, when they themselves were backed out into a corner. As before that, they didn't have a need to do that at all. They were just living with nature and doing their thing. That was it. So in an information age like what we're into now, where you can have information at your fingertips using these little devices. You have Twitter, Facebook, and all these things. We understand who the neighbors are, unless information doesn't flow properly. But it's very hard to control information. You can be afraid for a while about some person, let's say in Uzbekistan or some far corner of the world that you don't know about. But if you spend a little bit of time on the internet, you will meet somebody from Uzbekistan or from Uruguay or from another exotic country that Canada has no knowledge of. And then you realize that they're just like you, really, and they just want to have the same thing. They want to have food, they want to have lodging, and they want to have a means to express themselves. They're just like everybody, just different religion, different language, slightly different means and social paradigms, but it is very, very similar. If you remove the fear of the other and you understand the other, there's no need for violence. And so socially nearing singularity, because of the flow of information, more and more people being on the internet, so access to information, there's much less fear, and so less and less violent. And with technology, hopefully, we'll get more and more people that have global health care, more people that have a roof over their heads all the time, that have food in their bellies all the time. And that's just technological advances that allow these things to happen. The only not the drawback, but the only thing that's preventing these things from happening is really the governments and the power structures. They want to control us. They want to keep us working for the man, right? Working for a job. But now, because of technology, there's less and less need for people doing mundane work. And not everybody can be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or something that needs a lot of education to actually work out. And even programmers. Now it's easier and easier to actually program software because of software and computers and Moore's law advancing the power of the computers. So ultimately, we're getting into a society structure where the current system of work to live doesn't work. Right now we're seeing unemployment rates of about 25% in Spain. I don't know what it is in America, but it's pretty high, and they're having some trouble in the U.S. In Greece, it's again very hard trouble. And the system just can't handle this transition of technology towards singularity. And that singularity, robots essentially would be able to actually rule and work and do everything, including very precise things like surgery, instead of us. All they need is a body to actually manifest their brain, just like we have a body and tools and to manifest our brain what we're thinking. They start to be equal to us or more efficient as far as brain power and creativity and all that stuff, and they can program each other. They can create their own softwares. Okay? And so what will humanity be doing then? Well, we'll be doing whatever the heck we want to do. which is all going to be peaceful, because that's our nature. We have everything provided for us. The robots don't feel bad about working in the fields all day. They don't have those feelings. But they'll be very efficient at it, and they'll be very good at it. So we can just go on the internet and order ingredients for our food, and it can be brought to our door automatically, and we can cook the food. Or we can have robots, create food out of dirt, air, and garbage. And I'll get back to nanorobots because that's really exciting stuff. That's revolutionary stuff. We can have all these things using technology. And so there's no fear, everybody's peaceful, everybody's happy because we have the basics. And we have the information to understand the other population, so we don't need to fear them either because we know them. We play with them. We talk to them all around the world. Okay? This is a little bit, if you think about it, this is like going into a little bit of like a technological paradise, really. Right? Everything's provided. You don't need, unless you want, to do some work and to do some creative stuff, to be artwork, science, whatever you want to do. You can do it because it gives you pleasure, and you don't damage the environment doing so, because, again, I'll be back to nanorobots in a minute. It just allows you to do all these things very easily. And because you don't worry about the basic stuff, and you have medical, extremely good medical, you just have fun, really. You just enjoy yourself. There's other problems that would come with this that are a little bit more social, but I don't want to get into those today. Nanorobots. Let's talk about that a little bit, because that's really where all this stuff sort of happens, and it really makes you dream about where things can really go. Nanorobots are little robots that are at the nanoscale. So essentially they're a few molecules wide, or they're very, very small, enough to go into bloodstreams, into cells. They can manipulate, ideally, they can manipulate things at an atomic level. So for instance, if you're hungry for a snack, you don't have anything in the house because you don't really need to store it anymore. And again, I'll get back to that. Actually, I'm in that. You can just take your recyclables and your garbage and your waste and put a few nanobots in there and ask them, because they have a bunch of softwares for different programs, ask them to make you a little sandwich or make you some food or even fruit. That can be as complicated as that. Although early on I probably don't want them to make fruit or something as complex as a bunch of tissues or organs. But it can certainly make you some kind of snack that you can snack on from garbage. Doesn't taste like garbage, by the way, because it's just a question of rearranging some atoms. If you take petroleum, for example, and you change how the atoms are aligned, you can get spaghetti. You can get other kinds of fuels with it. You can get Vaseline. You can get plastics. You can get diamonds, coal, all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's mostly carbon. It's mostly carbon. You just change the orientation of the carbon atoms. You can introduce some oxygen from the air, or that sort of thing. Same with nitrogen or other components, and you can create all sorts of stuff. All the little robots need, because it's miniaturized computers that are ultra smart, all they need really is to download into them whatever software you want. And I can very easily envision the internet being a repository of all sorts of softwares that are open source. People just feed different softwares, being creative about different kinds of food, different type of items, like this pen, for example, which is very plain, by the way, sorry about that. Somebody may just code a little piece of software for nanobots to how to make that in that color. And you just download that, and you tell your little robots to go into the refuse and the garbage, and make you a pen of this particular color or perhaps another color, and they replicate to have enough so that it doesn't take days to actually make the pen. They replicate in a few minutes. You have a pen, and the robots go back to dormancy because they're done their job. And then you have a pen that was built off of refuse. So no need for garbage fills. For recycling itself is actually just natural. Is whatever you take out of the house, or you want to get removed or recycle in a way, or that you consider garbage, can be re-engineered into something useful. You don't need to throw away your old clothes. You just put it in the garbage hamper, and nanobots can pick up on that and pick the atoms they need to create something new out of it when you need it. Okay, so very, very cool stuff. And that actually brings us to a very, very important system. I did tell you a little bit about this earlier, but I want to get back to this. What kind of society are we looking at here? I mean, at the singularity level, 2029 or a little bit beyond, what kind of society do we have? I mean, you don't need to work for a living, so you do what you want. Okay, you have extremely easy to use software, probably coded by AI at that point, originally by people that are built on softwares over softwares, and computers that built over the iterative process of building faster computers following Moore's law. But ultimately it's the AI that take over because they're smarter than we are, so they create the next generation's computers and so on and so forth. And it keeps becoming more complicated. So you have these artificial intelligences and these robots that may be mechanical or may be organic. Why not? Okay, that just improve on each other, but they're at the service of humanity in a way, the service of the planet also in a way, right? And they're just there to provide everything on the planet so that everything is fine and everybody's comfortable. Everybody can enjoy themselves. The animals are safe and they're doing their thing in their environment, and they're fine as well. You don't need any armies because people are healthy. Everybody's health is perfect. I mean, you have nanobots in your body that detect different problems. If your system has a hard time with a disease, boom, fixes that. You have an injury, it's gonna help stanch the blood flow so that you remain healthy. It's going to identify authorities if you have significant issues or you have medical issues. All that stuff through wireless, through communications, GPS, all this stuff that we're familiar with. There's no need for anybody in positions of power anymore, and that's very important, right? Again, because even today they try to control the information, they try to create borders and boundaries between us, but the internet and technology goes beyond that. Right now there's 1/4 of the people on the planet that's connected on the internet. 1/4 of the people. And it's predicted in 2020 there's going to be 66%, like 2/3, are going to be connected to the internet. That's in 8 years or so. And a little bit beyond that, let's say close to singularity in 2029, it's very likely almost 100% of people are going to be connected on the internet. So going close to that year, we're actually going to have everybody, the whole globe, all these brains are going to be connected with information together. So if you're trying to control these people by telling them BS, about things going on here and there, you can just check yourself and say, is it really going on there? Show me a video. Okay, you stream it. Boom. Okay, no, I don't see anything. There's no problem there. So why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you have a need for power for a system if nobody needs to work? You need some things, but most of the things that are needed are going to be handled by the AI. The AI don't care about power. I mean, they don't care about that. They want to compute and do their thing efficiently and as per their programming. They're going to learn new ways to do it better. And that's how you program them, right? And so power is not necessary. There's no money because you can build anything out of everything. And everybody is connected. Everybody can share their creativity by doing simple things in a simple way. You can create very complex software using very simple user interface because we've built the technology to go there, and AI provides other tools to us so that we can use it. And we can just more efficiently do creative things to provide with the rest of humanity with cool stuff or our own stuff. The sky's the limit. And this is what's really, really exciting about this period of time. It's a revolution. It's a peaceful revolution, I hope. And so far it's been okay. Right now it's kind of a difficult time for us because it transitioned from you need to work to live and economy and money and power kind of paradigm, and it's shifting towards the singularity that's coming up with the high technology coming forward and coming up, where you don't need those things anymore. You don't need power, you don't need money, and you don't need to worry about living and about eating and all that stuff. I mean, this is a transition that from today to 2029-ish that's about 16 years. So that's a very quick amount of time for all this stuff to shift over. And right now, that's why a lot of people are feeling the pressure. Governments trying to hold on to their power. People try to liberate themselves and be free, and to have access to free health and free everything. And they don't want to work anymore for things, but they have to. So they're asking for jobs, and all they're really asking for is to be able to live peacefully. They don't want to. Nobody really wants to work. Nobody wants to work for a living, but people say it that way because they need money to live. That's what they want to do. They're actually asking the government, they're not asking the government, give me a job. They're asking the government, give me something so I can live. So I can live and my family can live. And that's it. Just like provide me with the means to do that. And the government should be, instead of trying to create jobs and trying to stop something that is literally inevitable, they should try to embrace the technologies that would free their people and allow them to not work anymore, at least for some, and then transition out. Some people, fewer people need to work. Some people, like myself, love to do projects. I would volunteer to actually work for the rest of humanity for a while. Until transition is done, and I'm sure there would be plenty of us that would be doing that. Maybe we get perks later on. I don't know, but a lot of people they just want to live, just live and be, and totally okay with that. I mean, if they're happy with the basics and not with projects and just relaxing with food and a roof, and they're not harming anyone, they're happy. I mean, that's perfectly fine by me. And so, to end this, we can feel a revolution coming, and we can see how fast technology is going ahead and moving really, really fast. And it's very fascinating how it moves, and we can feel also the pain of the humanity as we go towards the technological singularity. And what I recommend to people is to make the best of it and try to accelerate things if you can. Because once we get to that point where machines replace us in most effects, we remove all the other pain points that we've all, from the beginning of time, we've been complaining about. Power, money, control, all these things would go away. The humanity will go back to the people, to the individuals, in a neural network of collaboration and peaceful, healthy collaboration around the world. So do what you can to actually help that happen. The faster it happens, the faster we can have this paradise, I call it, in the future, where everybody has everything. So it's in your hands, friends. I'll catch you next time.